Hi, Jason. Welcome back. Been looking forward to talking to you again today. And today you're going to be talking about our brains and our subconscious and how they are likened to a computer. I'm really interested to hear about this.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you for the opportunity again. Yes, the computer association with the mind, it's a very easy way. It creates a very easy way to the client to understand kind of what I do. And what I do, basically, I compare the brain with a computer hardware. So an example, you have Mac and you have Microsoft. So that's I do the association with different cultures, so different religion. Well, we can, an example, use Apple as Hindu and Windows Christian. So those two computers, they operate with different programming, different programs as Safari, Windows. The programming, it's associated with the culture of the client. So a Hindu client grew up with a different concept and view of certain things when you compare with a Christian client. So those things, they are the representation of their childhood, are very important on my technique. Now, when you talk about the programming of a computer, I like to associate with consciousness. Consciousness, what is consciousness? It's when you are aware. It's a natural awareness within the environment. So we all have that. A Native American has that, a Hindu has that, Christian has that, even animals have that, right? It's just the way, the perception of what is good, the bad, right, in a natural way, independent of culture. And I like to associate the subconscious with my comparison comes from subconscious. It's like a small part of the memory of a computer. So we have three powerful rules here on this understanding, which is the hardware, the program, and the memory. Subconscious, even though it plays a small part of memory and that understanding, in my own understanding, it shows me that it's what controls most of people's minds. Because it's just like a computer, you can go to Starbucks and you connect with the Wi-Fi, which is also another association with the brain. The brain constantly vibrating frequencies works also like a hardware of a Wi-Fi. So you get into a Starbucks, you ended up navigating in a wrong website and you get a virus. That virus is going to affect first the memory, subconscious memory, then programming, which could be Safari or Windows, and then the hardware itself, which is the computer. So it's a very good way to explain with visuals the effects of emotions in our bodies when it comes to diseases and diseases, right? Sickness, stuff like that. So one example, in my opinion, childhood is very important. So that has to do with culture, right? Because that's when you start celebrating the birthday parties and start watching your parents connect with your spirituality, if they do or not. And then family, which is the safe environment. So in my belief, as I said before, now I'm talking about subconscious, the memory of the computer. So in my belief, males between the age of 7 and 12, 7 and 14, females 7 and 12, what happens in that a part of their childhood, what happened in that between those ages are very important to affect the subconscious, which is the memory. So if the individual experience something that is emotional traumatic, in my opinion, it creates a loop, which we could call the virus. And then with the years, that loop, it started affecting the programming, which is the natural consciousness of the individual, and then affecting the hardware, which is the human body, creating diseases, right? So that's why it's the most important thing to do when you got a virus, to use antivirus that's going to go to your memory and start deleting all that amount of information from that website that's trying to possess your computer. And if you watch how antivirus works, it's basically getting to the library, which is associated to the memory, and it start deleting all those websites, all those computer information that is triggering to access, they're triggering accessing the memory of your computer. So then you see the library start deleting all that at the point that you're free from that virus. So in my opinion, just so people understand, it's not that I believe that you have to face, like a lot of therapies professionals do, psychologists, it's not that I believe that you have to face every session your trauma from your childhood, but it's important to take the person to that moment and to helping them to understand as a experience, and then to in a practical way, just like a computer, to use a programming in their mind to cut the wire that is triggering that feeling. And then from there, the detox, the natural detox of the brain works. So again, going back to what I was explaining, brain hardware, the programming, consciousness, memory, subconscious. And when you understand it in a visual way, I believe it's easy for us on a very practical way to clean the mind daily, right? I do believe that everything's energy. I do believe a lot in spirituality, but I have to say that using that understanding and explaining that symbolic, explain in a symbolic way was easy for me to help people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think that's the first time I've heard it explained so simply. And it makes total sense to people that we need to, wipe like an antivirus, all of the old programming that we've got within us. So thank you so much for that. It's really, really simply helped people understand, or help me understand what you do and work at getting rid of the traumas in our life. So before I let you go, if anyone wants to work with you, where will they find you?
They're gonna find me in Facebook. That the name is AHBT, a holistic brain technique, and they have all my information over there, and that's the easiest way to contact me. Just before we go, can I just address another item, another thought? When I'm gonna give you an example so people see that I'm talking is very practical. My own dad lost his father at the age of 10. And when my grandpa died, my dad became very poor. And my dad had to figure out a way to graduate very fast in school and start teaching all the kids math and physics. And he ended up becoming the #1 civil engineer in the capital of Brazil, Brasilia. So he had to work really hard on himself. And he told me that sometimes he could only eat once a day in very small portions. And he was basically sending most of the money to my grandma and his 8 brothers. So he had a very tough life from a young childhood. And he lost his dad at the age of 10. So that feeling of lost and that feeling of responsibility, of having to figure out a way to provide financially from the family and to make sure that he was successful in life, that pressure created such a deep scar on his subconscious that when my dad divorced my mother, he was a wealthy man, but he never sent us money, and my mother became very mad at him, and we grew up on a very in a low middle class kind of reality where most of my friends are poor kids or poor, because I didn't have the expensive sneaker or the original Nike sneaker that was the cost a fortune in Brazil at the time. So that duality of going on weekends to see a rich dad but living in a poor mother's home, and with my dad manipulating us using lawyers and all that, was very also traumatic for me, because I watched my dad driving expensive cars, but I live in a poor reality, right? Wearing fake Chinese Nike sneakers. And because of that, I didn't have the friends, because they are constantly analyzing how I was dressed up, right? So that loop in my dad's brain create a reality that he was never satisfied with the amount of money he had, because the only way for him feel safe was with as much money, as much the numbers was going higher or going high on his banking account. So after going to a lot of shit on my life, I analyzed the fact that happened in me, right? The duality of poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, rich, and having my love, my friends all being poor. The extreme was also creating a negative perspective in my subconscious. So after developing this technique and working in my dad mind and conscious, I was able to bring him back into that moment that he lost his dad and assumed all the responsibility. And with a period of 7 days to take him out of that feeling in a neutral way, helping him understand through a feeling, not through the left side of the brain or through the reptilian brain in us, but through a feeling, through a gut feeling. I took him out of it, and which created him a very powerful moment of repentance, of forgiveness, where he was forgiving himself, and from that he opened up the desire to communicate with my brother and my sister and my mother, asking them for forgiveness. And also that realization, that encounter, took him out of alcohol addiction, which was he was using to numb himself from guilt. Right? So you see, so sometimes we complicate too much the emotional problems that we have with parents in our life, and I think we take it to a very abstract understanding, and it's sometimes just like math. 2 + 2 = 4. It's just a matter of finding a methodic way, a symbolic way, and to show that to the client through a feeling, right? And that's using this technique that produces natural DMT, and through that you take the person out of the loop, and again, it's all through symbolic understanding, because through that symbolic you can stimulate a feeling.
Thank you. What a powerful story, and thank you for sharing that. I think people love to hear stories, and they love to hear success stories. But sharing something very personal to you, I know that probably takes quite a lot for you to be able to do that. And it's just amazing that you were able to help your whole family that way. And I've done some sessions with you, and I must say they are amazing. I felt really, really good after them, and I can see how, as you say, you take people out of the loop, how this happens. And the funny thing is, I'm actually writing a book about this exact same thing. So we're definitely on the same wavelength here. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think that so many people, when we're looking at healing, really have to look at our younger years because of these loops that we create, and we are running on this programming, and so we need to change programming to get a different because if we don't change our programming, we stay on the same pattern.
Yes. Thank you. You understand very well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So before I let you go, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you again?
Yeah, please, you guys.
Okay,
If people want to find me, they can find me on Facebook. The name of the page is A Holistic Brain Technique, AHBT. My name is Jason Gonçalves. I'm the founder of this technique, Holistic Brain Technique. We're on lab right now with confirming the natural produce of DMT through this technique. And we have a lot to offer to the public. Thank you very much for this wonderful time.
thank you. And we'll see you again next time.
Okay, Sharon, thank you. Okay, Sharon, thank you.